This is Delcars Dungeonmastery. Cradle your dice bags gently today, because this might be unpopular, but I'm going to tell you why character death is necessary for a healthy campaign. Pull up a seat at the game table. Let's go on an adventure. Alright gang, welcome back. No BS. Normally I script them. This one's off the cuff. It'll make sense why. So, I had a joke up front here. Didn't seem to fit. Here we go. Character death. Character death is important and will make for a healthier campaign. It'll make for a healthier campaign because long term you have to constantly have consequences. Now, character death can be troublesome. You've got to watch your characters, how much you tie them into the story. So there's always this, you've got this balancing act where the characters need to be a living, breathing part of the world. But if any one of them gets pulled out and it's permanent, sometimes you got to deal with this if a player leaves too. You don't want the campaign story to be too focused on any one character, period. And you also don't want it to grind the campaign to a screeching halt. If the party is on a holy quest and they've only got one actual paladin and the rest are actually hangers-on and he's out, why are we still doing this quest? So, whether it's character death or other reasons, but that's a side note. Now, character death is going to vary how serious a problem it is on the system you're playing. I respect the world's greatest role-playing game? Most popular, best-selling? Sure. Anyway, I respect and I make use of, I just play raw, 3 strikes you're out rule. I like it. It works. Adventurer Conqueror King, which I heartily recommend this for world builders, even if you don't use the main rule set. Great economics, great, all kinds of great stuff, world building and everything in this. Any money that you blow, like just that has no tangible in-game benefit, up to 90% of the amount of gold pieces you just spend through. So let's say you, let's call it go carousing, and spend 1,000 gold pieces in the Tattered Rose. Your replacement character has 900 experience points. Awesome. Cool. Replacement system. Dungeon Crawl Classics. Absolutely love. Much like the 3 strikes you're out with the 5th edition, this has a check the body rule, and your character's luck plays into it. Savage Worlds. Savage Worlds, this one I like, whereas the others it's the luck of the dice, especially in Dungeon Crawl Classics. This one, bennies are used for so many different things, and if you're bold and carry on and you do things, you can earn bennies as you go. And if you spend all your bennies and then go down, is it the player's fault? And the original version of Hackmaster, 4th edition, which is hard to explain, but Hackmaster has a mentor-protege system that I fell in love with, where you would give 50%, up to 50%, and there was restrictions based on how you were communicating with your protege, where you could start funneling experience points to a henchman, and he's your protege. So there you had that. Now, players of a certain age, players of a certain vintage, in fact, Dorks of Yore has a great video where they interview Tim Kask, and he talks about how they used to play, how they didn't understand level creep, because they weren't playing one character all the time. Everybody had a folder full of characters, and as a character died, they're like, all right, well, I got this one. Or they would just go, hey, I haven't played my wizard in a while, let me play my wizard. So everybody kind of had a character pool. My system is based off of the, roughly off the ranks of, local hero, out of 5th edition. I'll have the editor, don't give me any crap about it either. I've been watching your notes. I'll have the editor put an image here. But in my system, if the PCs are in a current tier level, a replacement or a new player can come in at the bottom of that tier level. And, they're a member of the guild. So you guys know them well enough that you trust them. Like, oh yeah, he's a guildie. I've seen him around. Got the idea when I tried to watch 1 or 2 episodes of some bizarre anime. Fairy Tale? I don't remember, but I kind of like the multi-guilds thing. Let's go with that. It's not a new idea. It's practically how World of Warcraft runs. So you got the guild system. So you got all these systems. There's others, I believe. Now, I'm going to go into this one, which I believe is built into Dungeon World. What if death, yes, is the end, and resurrection spells are off the table for one reason or another? But what if you know where the entrance to the underworld is? Let's go Greek myth style. Oh, we can take you to the underworld, but most mortals never return. And we go rescue our friend. If you look at Greek mythology, several of the guys went and, his revolving door for a couple of them, but you don't want it to be like that, that's for certain. And then you run into the weird situation with, well, what if my paladin is in paradise? Why the heck would he want to be resurrected? So this is one of those things you need to touch on with the player beforehand. But making an epic quest out of the character's death can be a lot of fun. And here's what you do. If you don't have a backup character, and if the rest of the party is willing to make this quest, are you going to punish the player? Or are you going to give them something interesting? Give them a cherub, or a quasit, or some outer planar being to play for the session, or however many sessions it takes, who's their guide. Feed him driblets of information and let him do some role-playing. Let him be the small, the imp that's like, yes, we must go into the depths of hell and retrieve your friend. Of course you can trust me. Or let him be the noble Solar, who I am only allowed to tell you certain things at a certain time. And there's so much you can do with that. And with the right role player, they can have a blast with it until it comes time to rescue their character and bring them back. I like that so much better than a resurrection because of, it adds risk. Is the party willing to do it? And it comes down to your group. Now, let's say your system doesn't have rules for resurrection, and it's time to insert a new player. Mixed level parties, I'm in favor of, but that's a topic for another video. Now, the key takeaways is, one, let me get to the point. Again, this one was unscripted, so too long, didn't watch. One, character dying, there's probably a mitigating rule that you can either steal from other system or have in your system. Whether it's a spell, a fate point, or a thing, there's probably a way around it. Two, having character death a possibility, at permanent character death a possibility, keeps players on their toes, keeps them paying attention, adds a little more satisfaction when, we took a great risk, we did it. And it doesn't have to be the end. Hell, a total party kill where they wake up Valheim style. What are we doing here? Do you remember? I remember. What's the last thing you remember? And they find out they're in the underworld. They're in the Hall of Judgment, waiting to be sorted by the god of death to their appropriate afterlives. Maybe they can break out. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. Death doesn't have to be the end. And again, mostly I talk about fantasy games, have him come back as an undead. Have the ranger show up as a ghost. He has unfinished business after all. Hell, let him play a revenant. Could do a lot of interesting things with that. Speaking of Savage Worlds, in their original setting, Deadlands, it took me a second, I had to remember. In their original setting, Deadlands, you could come back as this quasi-zombie Avenger thing. And until the grand quest is done, especially if you're in the middle of a large story arc, and, it's maybe, maybe an evil god, depending who they worship, it might not work for every character, but it could be interesting. And if you let them know, pull the player aside privately and say, look, if we do this, once you get the big bad, those strings are cut and you're in your final rest. some players will go for it. Could be very interesting. So, something to think about. And I appreciate everybody. This was simultaneously a simple video and a very hard one for me to do. Now, those of you that are here for fun and goofy talk and to listen to a GM who's played games for way too long and want nothing more serious than that, you can end here. No grief. And we'll see you for the next adventure. Okay. This one was hard for me because death's been on my mind a lot. I lost a member of the family recently. Not unexpected. My great aunt. She's at peace now. No big deal. And I'm releasing this on Memorial Day. As a veteran myself, I want to extend nothing but my most heartfelt thank you to anyone who's lost a battle buddy, a shipmate, a father, a brother, a sister, a mother, a grandfather. Anyone, any of the real life fighters, rogues, rangers, and maybe a wizard even, who put on the uniform and paid the ultimate price. We lose sight of the fact what Memorial Day is. And I personally, this is my Thanksgiving. I want to thank you all, and thank all of you who've served and come back as well. We'll get you again on Veterans Day, us again on Veterans Day. But spare a moment to think of those, people that put on the uniform, answered the call, and paid that ultimate price. All right. Enough of that. I hope you got to play some games this weekend. If not, we'll see you for the next adventure. Thank you very much. Be well.